Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kostuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kostuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Christmas Eve Day. It's the day before Christmas. And
Thank you for explaining that.
I gotta notice, give shout out to Jesus. And it's a time that people get together, people come together with their family. Sometimes people didn't have the best family, so they're going through their stuff. Sometimes it's an extra special time to really take shelter, to really get internal. And sometimes it's good just to have fun with your family. If you're new to the show, welcome. This is Q&A day. This is when people write in their questions. We try our best to answer it. Sometimes we don't answer their questions good. Sometimes we just try our best. And sometimes it hits the nail right on the head. And they're like, that's exactly what I needed today. So hopefully it's one of those days. Kostuba, how are you? Kostuba's live in Mayapur, the holy city of Mayapur. He's been staying there for a few months.
I had a great, for us, Gita Jayanti was yesterday.
Okay.
And great. We Tara and myself and a couple others did the whole reading. We did the whole Gita.
You did the whole Gita?
Oh, yeah, man. I tell you, it was beautiful. It was like a beautiful bath, 3.5 hour just relishing the Gita. You finish up and you're like, that was great. Let's do it again.
You know what? Me and Mara, we were hosting a going away party for my son, my 9-year-old. So it was a house full of 7, 8, and 9-year-olds, and it was a little crazy, but we tried to read as much as possible. How many did we get? We did 5 chapters.
Nice.
And I will say that as I'm reading it, I was like, I got to read the Bhagavad Gita. I could do this every day. I could do this. I could do a chapter a day. It's one of these things. It's like taking a bath. It's like after a while, if you don't take a bath, you're like, I got to take a bath. You know what I mean? If you're camping or something, I got to take a bath.
Yeah.
That like the one you're reading the book, and then you realize juxtaposition against not taking a bath, how important bathing is. In the same sense, as you're reading the Gita, you're like, I got to do this more. This is so good for me. Professor Snooki said they did the whole thing with Skinergy. It was amazing.
Oh, nice.
It is so nice, huh?
Yeah, you finish, you're like, I could do this every day,
That's how I felt. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what else I start to realize?
What
I start
else?
to realize, like, you know what? This is my thing. Like, I'm into Krishna. I should be doing this every day. Then I start to realize life is short. It's like, how many times am I going to be able to read the Bhagavad Gita in this lifetime? I got very inspired by doing that. And I love the fact that within this Vedic culture, there's always these things like, okay, it's Gita Jayanti. This is the day to read the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, it's Ram's appearance. This is a day to focus on Lord Ram. Okay, it's Kadasi. This is a day to, pull back the senses and focus on devotion. It's great how it's peppered throughout the month, the week, the years. Every day is a holiday.
Yvette did it in the Philadelphia temple.
Oh, great. Vet's moving
And
like Vet's moving south. I'm noticing she's going south.
to go
She's not moving
south.
north so much anymore. She's moving more south.
Well, you had
I thought we were going to
a
get the south to come up here, but no. There's like sort of a retreat. It's
hmm.
Philly stealing her away from us. Okay.
Anyway, it was a great day. It was great reading the Gita, and I'm ready for today. Let's Q
What's
and A.
today?
Q and A.
Oh.
Are we gonna do anything here? We're just gonna.
Okay, yeah. I'm ready for today.
You know what? Maybe what chapters did you read, Ragnar?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
We did it in order
You
because I
know,
was really thinking, like, you know what, we're gonna be able to finish it all, and it's just like we just got overwhelmed with kid stuff. And then we got
yeah,
to this point, we're like, okay, kids, go home. Like
you
it
win.
was like, really, this party's going this long, and I outsourced it to my 18-year-old daughter to watch all the kids,
All
and
right.
we snuck away,
But
read another chapter.
the Mahabharata reading that we've been doing from the new H.D. Goswami one that's not quite out yet, but that you and I have. Again, that perspective, it was even kind of opening up the Gita for me in new ways.
You know what? Whenever I read the first chapter of the Gita, it was always very clunky until I read the Mahabharata. And then it's
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Then the first chapter sort of pops and comes alive.
What
So
was popping for me yesterday was the 11th chapter. You know,
oh,
where Arjuna, he turns to Krishna after seeing the universal form. He's like, I don't know what your mission is. That's what he says. I don't know what your mission is. And when you're looking at it from that Mahabharata perspective of like, the Asuras had very intentionally had a strategy how to take over the earth.
mm,
And Krishna, at the appeal of Mother Earth, was coming to rid her of the Asuras. And Arjuna's sitting here hesitant to step into the battle where that's meant to take place. And Arjuna turns to Krishna and says, I don't know what your mission is. You know,
mm,
Krishna says, you Arjuna, you're meant to be an instrument in this fight.
mm.
It was really cool. I was really enjoying
You were touched, moved, and inspired, weren't you?
it in many ways, Raghunath. And it's nice to associate with the devotees that way. It's a great way to build relationships with the devotees. Let's share this together.
Mm. We're also gearing up to go to India. We're leaving for India. Last minute, last call. Trying to have a last call here.
So one more last call.
One more last call.
You're gonna be like
Going
in
to
the
India.
airport. Okay, last call.
We're leaving on the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, and then sort of like everything breaks apart and the kids go here and there and yeah. Anyway, I'm happy to have all my kids here together, but we're going to talk about that in the first question. It talks about
Okay, let's get
attachment.
into it.
Let's dive into this right now, okay?
All right.
Um
Got a
this is from
question
Anonymous
via the
via
Discord
Discord.
thread.
With everything that we're reading in the Bhagavatam recently, I'm confused about how to have a healthy relationship with our children. We say not to be attached to them. Well, we don't say that. And although I understand the
In a sense,
concept,
we
huh?
do. In a sense, we do.
In a sense, we do. Okay. I understand that the concept, we say not to be attached to them. And although I understand the concept, I don't understand what that looks like practically, as if it doesn't feel healthy to be detached either. I have young children, which is not something I particularly wanted. And it's taken time for me to see it as Krishna's grace, a gift to help me on my spiritual path. For a long time, it felt more like it was dragging me into a life of illusion because of all material things that come up with having children, all the time spent dedicated to taking care of them instead of chanting or doing sadhana, etc. And so I'm confused as to how to cultivate a healthy relationship with my children. I feel that if I am healthy and joyful watching them grow up, I cultivate attachment. But then if I don't care or am not particularly happy about it, then I'm not doing my role as a mother properly.
Mm.
So, what does it mean to have children, but to be detached?
Yeah.
The bond is very emotional. How can I not feel happiness or distress when things happen to them? Thank you for your light and wisdom, Hare Krishna.
Good question.
Very good question. It's a very very tricky question actually, and
Tricky.
it was like I feel like I'm not over it yet, but my three littlest kids are 18, about to be 17, and 9. And I had two older kids that I raised, stepchildren I raised from when they were 5 and 6. And so it is a slack line. You know what a slack line is? I usually
Something you walk on
I've heard
like a
it's like people say
tightrope.
the tightrope, but it's like a slack line where it's like you're bouncing your balance. It's a very, very difficult balance to love and to be detached. To love and to understand you can't possess or own this person, which is riddled with your expectations of this person's and your idea that you can actually protect this person. We actually have no protect. We have some protection, but it's everything is minimized. And so um, I don't think it's part of our dharma. These kids were given to you for a reason, and the love and the protection that you can give them will help develop your character. And we need our character to advance in our spiritual life. We're into developing character. That's part of our growth. And I realize how my kids were sent to me to work on my character, to develop a sense of selflessness, to develop a sense of love that's not tinged with some reciprocal bartering, a sense of selfless love, but ultimately to understand and to feed me this truth that I have to love without possessing, and I have to love without the hope for like this, this incredible reciprocal love. Because that is reserved for Krishna. You might get some love back, you might get a little love back, but you might get nothing back. Yet it's our duty to still love and have a loving, open heart, and to live in a world without resentment and bitterness. And so children come to us to develop like this type of selflessness and concern, because I can say in my younger days, love was tied into sexual attraction. Yeah, high school, you think, oh, I love her. Do you love her? That we use this word love, we throw it around so cheaply. It's almost like how a lion loves a lamb. A lion doesn't love a lamb; they want to consume the person. So if you tease this out to the highest thing, it becomes like a selfless giving. And Prabhupada would say the love of God, the closest thing you have is a mother's love for the child, not expecting anything in return. And so, like, what's the little baby gonna give back to the mother except the mother can take care, nurture, spend time, wake up at all hours of the night, and the baby vomits. That's what the mother's gonna get back. So there's a selfless love, and we're in training in one sense. So the children are a gift for our spiritual life, and sometimes like pain, just like any type of operation to remove. Suppose I got shot, and I have to remove a bullet, or suppose I have a bad tooth and it's got to be extracted. There's a little pain, if not a lot of pain, that goes through in the healing process, in the surgery or in the removal of the rotted roots of the tooth. And in that pain comes that growth, and that's what we're hoping for. And if I get caught up in, it's easy to get resentment, it's easy to lead with expectations, it's easy to end up bitter, like I've done so much for these kids. I mean, my father, I find myself saying the same thing that my father used to say, like, these rotten, unappreciative kids. Sometimes I'll just blurt that, these ungrateful kids. I do so much for them. But they are a gift, and I have to always resort back to that. This is why I'm here. They're here for my growth, not to possess, not to own, not to control, not to, and ultimately, like for example, all my kids are here right now for the holiday. And it's very, and 2 years ago, none of them were here. It's like because I went through this, painful divorce. Both parties was painful, and all the kids weren't here, and I was devastated. And so, to the degree that I understand, like I can't possess this, that was a lesson of like I don't possess them. You could lose them at any moment due to a divorce or a family issue or sickness or something like that. And I had to deal with that, and I had to internalize that, and I had to lean into my spiritual teachings. And that's what we are all asked to do in cases like this. We lean into our spiritual teachings and understand, like, this is about you and God here. Okay. And anyway, I think I'm just sort of dribbling off into space. But
It's all you're let it all out
I
right
want
now.
it all hang out here. They're all here. I'm gonna have a good thing. I don't own these kids, but they're all getting presents this year. There you go. Kostuba. I don't know if you
Oh,
want to
that was good,
comment on
Raghunath.
that.
That was good. That was all real. Whatever it was, that
It
was
was very
real.
real. It was very real.
Now here's what I got to say, Raghunath.
Yes.
I am sure that in some previous life, I was a mother, you know, and I had
No.
a child in my womb that I carried for months,
No.
and then gave birth to that child. But I don't have any in this lifetime. I don't have any memory of that, and it's I can only try to imagine how that affects you emotionally,
Oh my God.
right? You don't know that, Raghunath. You
You
don't
don't
know
know
that.
that.
You don't
I
either,
know.
though.
I know what it, I know how.
Okay,
Are
I
you
know. I know. I
kidding?
don't know, but you don't know.
I know what it's like.
No, but you don't know
I,
what it's like to have a baby and carry it for
oh,
9 months
that I
in your
don't know.
stomach.
That I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
I can never
It,
understand that.
that's kind of like it's kind of like you're embracing the baby for 9 months before you even give it birth, like 24 hours a day, you know? And then you give birth to it and it's feeding off your body and you're constantly with it and
Yeah.
you feel such a strong emotional connection.
Then that kid just
Crazy.
turn. Then that kid just turns on you. After
Oh,
that.
no, dude, I'm not going
Changing
there.
their
That's not
diaper,
my point.
breastfeeding them.
That's not my point. But my point is that that is part of nature's way of doing different things, right? But
Yeah.
but think there's two way. It was such a sincere question, and when I heard it, it's kind of like there's two things going on here. And you know, we had an episode. It was episode 1036, and it was called "You Can't See 3D Art Wearing an Eye Patch." Do you remember that, Raghunath?
Can't wear 3D art. I don't remember that takeaway.
You can't. It's not even a takeaway. That was the title of it. You can't see 3D art wearing an eye patch,
Why
meaning
not?
because it requires what's
Two
called
eyes.
stereo optic depth perception.
Stereo optic depth perception. Is that what it
Stereo,
requires?
yes, we talked about this, Raghunath. You forgot it all.
You know what?
In other,
I'm getting older. I forget things.
okay, all
Who are you? What am I doing here? Sorry. I don't
right.
remember
Who are
that
you?
at all. I thought I was getting on my AOL account.
Who are all these people? What is this microphone? Um, so, no, you know that stereo that
Yes.
3D
Yes.
art. You can only see. You need bioptic vision. If you
Mm.
cover up one eye, you'll never see the image appear.
Oh,
It
okay. All
takes
right.
it takes stereo optic depth perception. And so in that episode, we discussed that seeing this world, seeing this material world that we're moving through, requires a type of stereo optic depth perception. In that episode, we're describing that those two eyes, one eye of spiritual optimism and one eye of material pessimism, right? You don't really see
Gotcha.
this world
Gotcha.
clearly unless you're seeing both of those. They sound like they're the opposite. They're not, but you just
Mm.
have to see with both those eyes.
I love it. I love it. That's the
That's what you
spiritual vision.
yeah.
Hmm?
Exactly. That's the Bhakti Vedanta vision, right? And kind of like the way that I look at Advaita Vedanta is this kind of monocular vision. It kind of focuses on especially, I mean, maybe that's not entirely fair, but Bhakti Vedanta really does it in a big way. And let's get into this because here I'm going to say that when you look at your role as a mother, you look at your existence as a mother, right? Because right now, in this time period, in this moment in time, in this blip in time, you are a mother and you have, not you, Raghunath, the anonymous.
I am a mother.
Yeah.
I am a mother.
Am I a mother? I thought I was a mother. No, our anonymous questioner
Sure.
is
I
a
understand.
mother. Okay. Is a mother in this blip in time. And you need, and it is your duty and responsibility to embrace that role
Mm.
fully and live it. And your child should never doubt for a moment your love. Your child should never doubt for a moment your care. You know, your child should feel the full power of your motherly love, in order so that they're raised psychologically healthy, and so on. That's your duty. At the same time, and that's one eye, right? I am a mother. This is
Mm.
my child. My child is
I
dependent
like
on
this
me.
analogy.
It's a good one, right? The two
Yeah, very
eyes.
good. Stereo
Okay.
optic.
Yeah. So that's one eye that you're seeing with, right? That's one eye through which you're seeing this world. I'm a mother. This is my child. This child is dependent on me and dependent on my love. But with the other eye, right? The other eye is saying, yeah, I carried this child in my womb for 9 months, but what did I have to do with it? It all happened without my own power.
Mm.
This body isn't even me, right?
Mm.
It's just something that I'm passing through for a moment, and by some magic, right? Some beautiful magic, this child took birth within me, and my body provided all the ingredients it needed for its body. And I was given the dharma. I was given the responsibility to care for this being that is like me, a billion years old, right? Like me, eternal, right? Not in one sense appearing helpless and appearing they need my help, and in another sense, for all I know, I was their child in a previous birth. We're two souls moving through this world, which isn't our paradise. It's our university. It's our place to learn. All right? Yeah. You
It's
like
not
that
our
one?
paradise, it's our university.
It's our university.
Did we
So
say that
so
before? Did you just come up with that? Is that
I
old?
said I said both of these things in that episode
Yeah, I
1036.
wasn't listening at that
Yeah,
time.
you were paying attention that day. Okay.
Writing on message board. That is
This
very
world isn't
good.
our paradise, it's our university. When you begin to see it that way, if you, as a mother, if you see with only one eye and say, this is my paradise, this from this little being I get love, I feel love. It makes this world a beautiful place. There's truth. There's a temporary truth in that, but also you have to understand this is our university. What am I meant to learn and understand through this?
Mm.
Through this, playing this role as a mother, and part of it is, you know, is this child one day is going to walk away, right? Walk right out of the house, and I'm gonna be like, but you need me. And the child's gonna be like, I don't need you.
I don't need you.
I need, as a matter of fact, I need to be free of you. The child, the
Ouch.
child's gonna,
Ouch.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
been there. Ow.
Right. And
You don't
then,
need, yeah, not only do I not need you, I don't even want you around. Now I'm angry at you because you
yeah,
raised me wrong.
yeah.
And
You
it
raised me
the whole
with that.
world is like this. It's not even just with children, anonymous writer. It's like with the pain of the world. You have to notice the pain of the world, and you
Mm,
have to let that somehow inspire you and let you. Otherwise, you just get so depressed with the pain of the world, the
right.
ever never ending wars and trauma and kidnapping and tragedies and uh, accidents. It's just it's enough to get you so depressed. Um,
Less.
unless you have the other eye open too, and to
Right.
see that eternal vision as well.
There you go.
Otherwise, we're just it's other we just become these existentialists, or we become these very
What?
angry people.
Bitter. Yeah. Yeah. So
Angry,
so
you just
so
get angry at the world.
so yeah. So one school of Vedanta is saying this is not your child. Don't fall into that illusion. Even walk away from it all. Renounce it all. It's keeping you bound in this world. You've had
Mhm.
children in all of your different incarnations, and each time you thought, this is my child. This child is
Right.
dependent on me, etc. Or all my love flowing to this child is a complete illusion. That's all just a game going on in the mind that's caused by the cuteness, which is just a temporary manifestation of molecules coming together in a certain cute little shape, and now you become bewildered again, and all of that. Now Bhaktivedanta is a little different, right? Here renunciation isn't the highest principle. Love is the highest principle, But what Bhaktivedanta wants to do is it wants to get your love heading in the right direction. So where when we don't have any Vedanta, we're thinking, all my love flows to this child. All my heart flows to this child. And what Bhaktivedanta is saying is, when you think that way, you're thinking an illusion, and you will feel pain because of it. Get ready for that. But since this universe is our university, what are we meant? What's our degree? What do we walk away understanding? We walk away understanding that ultimately, myself, my ability to love, my child, all of this comes from one root, and that root is God. That root is beautiful, sweet baby Krishna, right? Beautiful Krishna. It's all stemming from Krishna. And so Bhaktivedanta is saying, don't stop loving, but love your child in the context of your love for God. Don't see your child outside of that context. Smother your child with love, but with the love that's informed with the understanding that we are both the children of Sri Krishna, right? And when your love for Sri Krishna becomes deeper and deeper, you'll have bhakti and you'll have jnana, right? You'll have a heart full of appreciation, a heart full of sweetness, a heart full of love, and you'll also have clarity of, I understand that I'm not this body. I understand that this child is not my property. I understand that time will come and separate us, right? And with this, you'll see a truth so deep, so that your love will, that this super magic thing happens, is that you can actually, through loving that root, not ignoring that root, which is when we think, just when we're just blind thinking this baby is mine, and that's the absolute truth. But you'll see this deeper truth. You'll feel this deeper truth, and you'll feel this deeper love to the root, and through love, your love will not be limited to this one child anymore, or to this 2 or 3 or however many children that you have and you feel you possess. You'll feel love for every living being. And so that's where bhakti is headed. So let's not become confused. I think what our questioner is saying is, I'm hearing on one hand we need to be detached, right? But then how am I going to be a good mother? No, be a good mother. Even be attached, but attached in the context of the relationship that both of you have with Krishna. I'm attached to you because Krishna has given me to you to care on his behalf, right? Because you belong to him. This, you know what, Ragnar? This, we were, going through Bhagavad Gita yesterday, and as we're going through it all, just so many verses coming up again. You just have to hear them, because it's this reading a chapter a day. It's really where it's at, because you just keep refreshing yourself. You read the Bhagavad Gita 20 times in a year that way, and so you don't spend years without touching on these verses. And it reminds me of that. There's this beautiful verse, famous verse, the very famous verse.
Give me a hint.
Is 434.
Tadviti pranipatena
Pranipatena
pariprashnena sevaya upadekyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from them submissively and render service unto them. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you, because they have seen the truth. This is our university, right? We're meant to learn something here. It's not our paradise, it's our university. So then what do you learn? What do we learn from the spiritual master? And that comes in the next verse. And this verse is not nearly as often quoted, but for me, this is a verse that really lights me up, Text 435. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but a part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. And so this is what you're meant to learn from the university of this world, from the university of motherhood, right? The university of motherhood, when informed by the Bhagavad Gita, when informed by Srimad Bhagavatam, is, yes, I love this child, I love this child with all my heart, and I do all that I can to protect and care for the child and provide for the child on behalf of Krishna, as my dharma, all along realizing that just as I am a part of Krishna and I am Krishna's, this child is a part of Krishna and is Krishna's. And now that love isn't misplaced. That love that you have for your child isn't distracting you from your bhakti, from your love for Krishna. It's all part of your love for Krishna. And so don't feel torn between the two. Don't feel like am I not supposed to love my child? Am I supposed to be detached in one sense, right? You're detached because you got this one eye of truth that's recognizing that I'm not the provider ultimately. I'm a secondary provider. I'm not the mother ultimately. I'm the secondary mother, temporarily playing this role. But both of us are eternally connected to Sri Krishna. He's the mother, he's the father, he's the provider, he's everything for us. What you got there, Raghunath? You're pulling something out.
Bhagavad Gita. Just pulling out Bhagavad
Yes,
Gita.
you're
You're
into
inspiring me to
something.
read. I'm going to read a chapter right now. You just continue on.
Okay. You want me to just okay. No, you're breaking out a verse? What you
Very
got?
spontaneous. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right, that's what I
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Just when I thought
Great
I answered the
question.
question,
Great
you
sincere
answered it
question.
better.
No,
Okay.
you did great, Raghunath. You gave real good stuff.
Okay. This is from Basma. No,
Basma.
it's not from Basma. It's from Harshal Gore.
Oh, Harshal Gore.
This is Harshal from the UK, a good friend of ours. Recently, I'm really getting into the gunas. That doesn't sound good, right? Recently, I've
I
been
think
really getting into the
I think
gunas.
getting into them is in like he's been reading them, is what he meant.
Yes, he's reading about the
Reading
gunas and
about them.
studying.
Yeah.
I have a few questions around these topics. Where do the modes or the gunas come from? Did Krishna mention the modes for the first time in the Bhagavad Gita, or were they mentioned in the Vedas or the Srimad Bhagavatam? 2, are there different ages in life linked to the gunas, to the modes? Childhood, young adult, elderly, etc.
Okay.
3, Krishna mentions dying in the mode of goodness is preferred. How can we prepare for this? Finally, number 4, how can we interact with people who are visibly in the mode of passion and ignorance without criticizing, condemning, or thinking we're better than them? Caveat, I'm always fluctuating between the modes, so I'm far from perfect. I
I
would
thought I was going to say
appreciate your
caveat.
thoughts.
I thought I was going to say caveat. We are better than them.
We are better than
Even-
Okay. All right, that's a great
Should we do
question.
one at a time?
Sure. So the first one is where they come from. Did Krishna mention them, where they mentioned the Gita for the first time?
Yeah. No, they go back. They're in the Vedas. I have a quote. Yeah.
Right, go. It's like part of the whole Vedic understanding of reality.
Yeah. Here's a verse from the Atharva Veda, 10:8:43. It says, "There's a nine-gated lotus," which I think can mean the heart, or often the human body is spoken as the nine-gated city, right? There's a nine-gated lotus covered under 3 bands of gunas. We should get into, actually, let's say what the gunas are, because some of our listeners may be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right, sure.
The gunas. Are they some kind of weird people? The goons?
Here come
Alice
the
the Goon?
Goonies. The Goonies. I'm
Yeah.
really in the Goonies.
And you read in the Gita yesterday's, Raghunath, I thought, because when we say mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance,
Yeah.
You translate these words sattva, rajas, tamas the best you can, but there was a verse at the end of the 17th chapter, and I thought this was a great way to describe them: the mode of illumination,
Nice. Yeah.
the mode of attachment,
Yep.
and the mode of delusion.
That's a nice way to explain it too. They're
I-
hard to translate these.
They're hard to translate.
We're trying our best to translate these, but they're partially untranslatable.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get to know the Sanskrit word and all that it means. But I felt that was very helpful. Those really, like if you say passion, people are like, "Oh, passion is a good thing, right?" And it's not. No, think more attachment. So what the Vedic literature, the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and so on, they describe that this world that we're living in is composed of these three energies, that everything material is built of a combination of these three energies, and that each one of these three energies has its influence, whether it be illuminating, whether it be creating a stronger feeling of material attachment, or whether it be a state of delusion. And so like every object is radiating one of these influences, whether it's the people that we meet or the music that we listen to or the food that
Everything
we
of this
eat, or
material realm is
yeah.
radiating one of these, dominated by one of these.
Yeah, and because they affect our mind, they affect our thoughts, they affect our emotions, they affect our desires. A yogi has to be very aware of what they're picking up as they're moving through the world. Okay, so Harshal's question was, did this first come about in the Gita? No, it's there in the Vedas, it's there in the Upanishads. But I'm not. I think neither you or I, Raghunath, are really familiar with. We've never studied the Upanishads in depth. But I think the Bhagavad Gita, chapters 14, 17, and 18, I think that might have been the first place where you get a really thorough, kind of analysis of them. I'm not sure about that, but as far as I'm aware, you get a
Sure.
very thorough analysis in those books. So yeah, they're there in earlier literature than the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. How about this one? Are there different ages linked to the modes? Childhood, young, adult, early?
What do you think?
Um, well, I know teenage life is passion. I've never heard of it. I've
Yeah,
heard of
very.
it. It's just my. Like, see, I think a lot of this stuff is not just we read these in the 17th chapter, and the 14th chapter, and the 18th chapter. A lot of it is a person applying the Gita to their life and then realizing it in their own life and then explaining it to their students.
Yes.
Um, uh, and that's how Vedic teaching is also taught. Um, so I can say in my own life, possessed by passion in my teenage life, possessed by it.
Mm.
And it's riddled with all these what the Gita talks about are the symptoms of passion, which is intense hope, intense endeavor. And I would say that not only in your teenage life, but as it expands into your
Married life.
into your married life as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes and according to the person, according to their activities, according to their occupation, according to their relationships, according to their pious or impious choices in life, it will either be aggravated or it'll be subdued. And of course, adding Bhagavatam, adding transcendental wisdom to your life, then it will bring you to that next question: how do you prepare for, dying in the mode of goodness? It's from
Or
adding
beyond.
wisdom to
Yeah.
your life. But anything you want to share about different times of life?
Well, I've never read anything about that. I've read about that in terms of Ayurveda and the different doshas. How like, but when I think about it, I think like take an infant or a young baby. There's a lot of tamaguna there. The baby's sleeping a lot, and
See if
crying a
they
lot
drool.
and crying over this, crying over, and it's yeah, it seems like Thomas, is relatively influential at that point. You c-
So funny how to the whole world they're like babies are adorable. To you, like to Gyanis using your intelligence, like
drooling,
how they're a messy,
sleeping, can't
tamasic,
take care of itself.
covered
Uh,
themselves in
Feces,
Play-Doh and
urine.
feces and avocados all over their faces and
Okay. Well,
dirty,
so yes,
sticky fingers.
so there may be some influence of Tamagun there. And as you're saying, I agree entirely. Young adult and I would say married life when you're establishing yourself in the material world, right? When you're going after sex, you're going after wealth. That age period, which I would say goes from the teens through to the 20s and the 30s.
Sure.
Ideally, as you're getting older, your life can become more sattvic. We don't have we don't have a culture that's even aware of this kind of stuff or even kind of clear about how we should
No.
be evolving in life.
It's
But
interesting, isn't it?
yeah,
We don't. When I was a teenager, we had these neighbors across. I just want to jump in here.
yeah,
We
yeah.
had these neighbors across the street. I hated them. I
We're
hated
all gonna
them.
have, what
It's
would they
horrible.
do to you?
I just I was just like, what is up with these people? Their yard was perfect. Their, walkway was perfect. Their driveway was perfect. Their house was perfect.
Envy.
Everything was
You're
in place.
envious.
Sometimes their lawn was so small it was like a golf course, and
Wow.
sometimes a leaf would fall, and I saw the man sweeping his grass, and I was like, "Don't these people have anything better to do with their life?" And all it was is they were just very Sutvic,
Yeah.
very organized.
Maybe a
They were
little
from that
bit.
great generation. They were from that great generation,
Okay.
of people that they just had their material
You
life
don't
in
think
order.
there's a
They
little
were
mental
good.
condition there? Maybe a little. What do they
No,
call
they
that?
were just clean, good Sutvic
Okay.
parents. Their kids were grown, and they were just like good
The lawn
people.
clean.
And it drove a person like me, who's totally in the mode of passion. It drove me crazy. It drove like,
Yeah.
why aren't you hoping for this and desiring for this and going for this?
They were happy just keeping their place nice. Their mind felt good when everything was clean and in place.
Yeah.
And they
So yeah,
felt maybe they felt a duty to provide that for the neighborhood as well.
I'm sure they did. So when you said people don't even understand, like, they don't.
What
Peop-
evolution looks like, right?
What
Yeah.
evolution looks
Okay.
like to them,
Gotcha.
it's just like, who cares? Just let it rot. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you get older, sometimes people they don't sleep as well. You can say they don't sleep as well, but it may not be exactly that they're not sleeping as well, but they just need to sleep less. You know, and that's Sutvic, like, oh, I wake up at 3 in the morning. In our culture, we think, what's wrong? I'm waking up at
Right.
3 in the morning, right? But like, in a yoga culture, it's like, oh, this is great. I'm waking up at three, and I want to go to sleep, at 8 p.m. and I want to wake up, at 2 or 3 p.m. It's like
Sure.
you're doing great. Now that you got a real Sutvic existence going on here, you're wide awake during the Brahma Muhurta, during these hours that are ideal for contemplation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was wide awake at 4 o'clock this morning. I was wide awake at 3 o'clock. I was like, I really should sleep more. I know I should, like, forcing myself to sleep another hour to
And your
get to
body's
4 o'clock.
saying, there's somewhere in the Bhagavatam, I should go back and find it, but it mentions that the Paramatma wakes you up,
Oh,
right? The Paramatma wakes you up. And so sometimes when I
who
wake up
puts you
and
to
I think,
sleep? The
I suppose the
devil.
Paramatma's the
Go
devil.
to
Sleep.
bed.
Um, but sometimes I wake up and I look at the clock and it's really early and I just think, oh, I want to sleep more. And then I think, am I just ignoring the gift of the Paramatma right now,
Right. Like, talk to the hand, Paramatma.
Talk to the hand, I'm going back to sleep.
Talk to the hand. Right.
Talk
Here's
to the
that
hand,
Paramatma
Parma.
trying to wake me up to what. Yes, I think about that a lot when I'm thinking, should I take another hour of sleep?
Yeah.
And then I hear all
Krishna
the
just woke me up.
sleep enthusiasts going, you.
Oh, Nityananda Chandra's saying I think that is chapter 36 of the third canto, Paramatma waking him up. Look at that, Nityananda Chandra, scholar you.
Chandra, he's great.
Okay,
All
so
right.
yeah, so again, it seems like you could, in a general way, say, childhood, tamagun, uh, middle, those middle years from teens up to the say 50 even, or definitely up to 40, I would say Rajaguna, and then later life, ideally Sattvaguna. Yeah.
Maybe not elderly. You know what I mean?
Well, because you kind of turn into a child again when you get
Yeah,
really
you sort of
old.
like can't control your
You're
bowels.
drooling again.
You're drooling again. You can't cut your
You're-
fingernails so well, and you're you're coughing. But I think, like, late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I think you can be pretty Sutvic, because the passion physiologically releases a little bit. So that can
Yes.
either go to tamas or sattva, depending on what you're
Right. That's
cultivating.
right. Yeah.
So we're in a whole sort of lifetime of cultivating Shuddha Sattva and
Yeah. Shoot
Sattva
us.
Guna.
Right. Which kind of segues into the next question.
Oh, how does one interact with people who are visibly in the mode of passion in their ignorance?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That one?
Text. No, it's question number 3
Oh, Krishna mentions dying the mode of goodness is preferred.
is preferred.
How can we prepare for that?
But let's be clear, and let's even pull up the verses. This is 14th chapter. Let's see. That's not it. That's not it. Here we go. Okay. So it's describing the different gunas, the different modes, and it's describing all different. It's describing how to understand them in different contexts. So one context is dying, right? And so texts 14 and 15 of the 14th chapter say, when one dies in the mode of goodness, they attain the pure higher planets of the great sages. I'm reading about those planets, Raghunath.
Yeah,
Because I'm reading Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Unbelievable stuff.
This
God.
isn't spiritual bypassing. There's actually higher planets you can go to and take. This isn't the end all. This world. And matter of fact, back to that first question about the kids. These kids are going to be grown up in a moment. You're going to sneeze, and then they're just going to have photos of little children.
That's right.
They're going to be old doing their thing. Anyone who's got a teenager or a 20-year-old knows that was a day in your life where you were raising kids.
Eileen's like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know. My mom, who's a great grandmother, will say things like, enjoy them when they're young, because they're sort of, they get off and do their own thing, and then that whole mini chapter of their life.
Raghunath's back to letting it all come out.
Bitter old Raghunath. Oh, God. Enjoy them. I'm looking at Amy Steller. She's like, yep, enjoy it when they're young. We know the deal here.
Okay. So there it says that if you die in the mode of goodness, then you attain the pure higher planets of the sages. If you die in the mode of passion, you take birth among those engaged in fruitive activities, among those working for stuff in this world. And when you die in the mode of ignorance, you take birth in the mutual Omaha's animal kingdom.
In the animal kingdom.
The animal kingdom.
Interesting, huh? You die in the mode of ignorance, you take birth in the animal kingdom. That is,
but
that Prabhupada called, what do you call it? The greatest
fear.
The greatest fear. The greatest fear. It can relieve you. Krishna consciousness can save you from the greatest fear, which is that taking birth in the animal kingdom.
Okay, but now this is important. It is. So the question asks, Krishna mentions dying in the mode of goodness is preferred. How can we prepare for this? But it's only preferred to the lower modes. But what's really preferred is talked about in the 8th chapter and in other places too, which is, here's famous verse, text 8:6.
Just before you get into that, I just want to share.
Okay.
It's like that.
Let it out, brother. Let it out.
Not on anybody's mind today. With all the things going on in their world, both the exciting things, the romantic things, the tragic things that are happening, the last thing they're worried about is, oh man, I might have to take birth as an animal. Nobody's worrying about that today.
Nobody's thinking about that.
Right? No one's thinking, but it's a reality. If all this stuff is right, you love your Ayurveda, you love your, Bharatanatyam, you love your Kirtan. If all that stuff, where that stuff's from, is right, there's every chance you could be an animal. Just putting that out there.
Careful, everyone.
Start to be concerned about that.
Well, the verse that you were alluding to earlier, Raghunath,
which one?
Is that the one about the greatest fear? What? What?
Imagine if I busted into a Krishna Das concert and saying, "Stop the music! You like this kirtan? Enjoying this kirtan? You could all be animals very soon if you don't do something about it."
Well, the idea is kirtan can save you from it, right? Nahabag, this is text 240.
That's what we're doing, Raghunath.
Get out of here.
Get this nutcase off the stage.
So, Nahavik Ramonashosti, Pratyavayo Navidyate, Svalpam, just a little bit. Svalpam apyasya dharmasya, trayate mahato bhayat, the greatest fear, right? In this endeavor, and here, this endeavor, it's speaking about, you could say, nishkam karma yoga, especially in the context of bhakti, right? Performing bhakti without any material desire. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. You don't lose what you accrue through this. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous fear, right? So that's Krishna's promise, right? Okay,
God. Meditate on that for a day. It's like being born as an animal.
Meditate on it, Raghunath. Now,
people think it's a great thing. I want to be a cheetah.
want to be a bird.
I want to be a bird. People always say that. I want to be a bird. No, you don't,
Bird.
man. You ever see hawks go after little birds?
Just subscribe on Instagram to Nature is Metal, and
Or
then tell
nature
us
is
if you.
bloody. Ever see that one too?
No, I have not heard of that one,
Now
Raghunath.
you're in.
Okay.
You're in the matrix. Um,
Okay.
they just
Uh,
their listenership just bumped right there.
Okay,
But
but
yeah,
let me make this point, Raghunath. So
yeah,
Krishna is not advising that we try to die in the mode of goodness, because that's still one of the three modes of material nature. What he's suggesting is that we die in consciousness of him, which is a state of awareness that Raghunath earlier called Shuddha Sattva, right? It means pure goodness, pure Sattva, but it doesn't even mean like the material mode of Sattva. It means the spiritual energy, that
mm,
our awareness is entirely spiritualized. So Krishna says in text 6 of chapter 8, whatever state of being one remembers when they quit their body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. And then text 7, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. What a great instruction. Tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times. Mum, me, anusmara. Mum anusmara.
mm,
Remember me, think of me, meditate on me all the time, right? All the time, right? Whether you're waking up, whether you're going to sleep, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, we have to find a way to make it all yoga. You make it all
mm,
yoga, right? Make it all bringing the mind to Krishna. So tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, all the time, man anusmara. Think of me, you and yudhyacha, and at the same time fight, right?
mm.
um, with your activities dedicated to me and your mind intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. That's where the Bhagavad Gita, that's where Krishna is. He's not saying pass away in the mode of goodness. He's saying pass away in consciousness of me. Right? He says in the next verse, he who meditates on me is the supreme personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, O Arjuna, is sure to reach me. So that's our goal, right?
Let's read the Bhagavad Gita today. Let's do some more chapters. Let's go through that whole Gita before the end of the new year. That'll be easy.
Yeah.
That's
There you go. Should we just finish off this last part of this question? The fourth?
yeah. How do we interact with people who are visibly in the mode of passion and ignorance?
You get right in their face and
And
you
you
say,
say,
stop it.
"Listen, you
Stop.
don't you understand what an animal you're going to become and have become?"
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's saying without criticizing, condemning, or thinking we're better than them.
Well, if first of all, I'm not in the mode of goodness enough to criticize or condemn them, you know.
Yeah,
So,
or
but
Sudasattva for that matter.
I don't think there's wrong with saying there are different. There is gradations of behaviors.
Yeah.
That's okay. You are better than them. If they're acting in passion and ignorance, you're better.
You're better.
I don't.
That's the answer.
You're better than them. You are better than them, Harshal Gore.
Harshal, you're better.
You're much better. You can just say, "Listen, I'm better than you." No, when we understand that we can become victims of these gunas, and also
That's
yeah, it releases you from
the
to
devotee knows that if it's not for Krishna's grace and the grace of the Vaishnavas, the grace of the Bhakti yogis, these modes can overtake me in an instant. Just boom. I can become
second.
confused and an illusion in any second. So we're walking around very lightly, very, we're not getting prideful thinking, hey, I've conquered them. No, man. Those and Bhagavatam is there to tell us that, right? Who's the Muni again under the water?
Sobari.
Saubari Muni, he's it's so advanced in yoga. He can go under the water and meditate down there for years at a time. One little act of motive passion he witnesses amongst the fish, boom, it overtook him.
Yeah.
He became influenced by it.
Jimwood on the message board says, "Serve them," and so that's what we're trying to do.
Oh, that's
Also,
nice.
we're throwing lifelines out to people. That's what this podcast is, but everybody does it in their own way. They reach out, they share transcendental knowledge. Here's a link. Listen to this. You give out prasad, you teach wisdom, you have a gathering at your home. and you hear this stuff on a regular basis, and it resonates with something deep underneath the tamasic behavior, underneath the passionate behavior. That's what I'm doing
You know, and a great
to
point you're making,
myself.
Raghunath.
I'm doing it to myself.
And just to tack this onto your point, and that we approach them not condescending or not like vertical from up to down, but
Right.
that we approach them horizontally. Like, hey, I'm right here with you in those modes. So let's
Right.
read this Gita together. Let's discuss this together. Let's understand this together.
We got to work on a new translation of Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha. Do you know what I'm talking about? I offer my
Well,
obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are full of who are like desire trees and fulfill desires for everyone, and are full of compassion for
the fallen conditioned souls.
Yeah, doesn't that sound like going
But
down?
that's not saying I'm that. I'm offering my respects to the people that are that.
I know it makes it sound like we're above it, but we're going to offer our obeisances to the
No, not
Vaishnavas because
we.
they're
No, it's saying the Vaishnavas are above it.
it's usually the prayer is lateral, horizontal.
Well, no,
and
but
then it
no, but
tips
not
off
the
by
person that's
going
saying it.
down. We're going to help these suckers down here. They're a mess. That's what,
That's
how
not the-
I that's
no,
how I take it.
Raghunath, no, that's not what
That's-
it is at all.
Really, that's how I hear
suckers
it.
down there.
That's
Society suckers.
Okay,
We're gonna help
that's
these
it. All right.
suckers.
There's no takeaways today. No, there's no takeaways today, Kostuba. It is Christmas
Yeah,
Eve. We're gonna wish
that's
everybody a happy Christmas.
Oh yeah, so no show tomorrow,
Happy
but Merry
holidays, no
Christmas,
shows
everybody.
tomorrow. Stay connected
Christmas.
in the spiritual ups and downs, which is usually exaggerated during the holidays. Stay grounded. Keep both eyes open. Keep.
There will be Bhakti Recovery meetings tomorrow.
Yes,
Quite a few
1
of them?
p.m. tomorrow.
Just one.
No, I think there's more than that. The 1 p.m. is the one that came to mind, but there's also meetings at, let's see, Monday, 9 p.m., 1 p.m., and 2 p.m.
And what about today? Because Christmas Eve can be a big time where people need that.
Yeah, there's a meeting at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. today.
Yeah, or you can
Okay.
just call Kostuba privately. Give him a call.
Give me the-
He's
or
up all
give him
night
my
for you
phone
guys.
number.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, I'll give you. Just write to me. I'll give you his phone number. I got no Christmas vibe going on at all over here, Raghunath. It's
All
like
right, well,
this
put on a
video.
hat or something, dance around, put on some big black boots. Thanks everybody for joining us on this most auspicious day of Christmas Day Eve, and we're gonna miss you.
You don't have to say Christmas Day Eve, Raghunath. You can just say Christmas Eve. That's it.
Well, it's not the Eve.
But it's still
Eve
it
means
is the
evening.
Eve.
It's not Eve. Eve's in the
No,
evening.
Eve here can mean the
It's
day.
Christmas
too.
Day, Eve.
I'm gonna look up.
Christmas
Nobody
Eve
says
Day.
that. Nobody's ever
It's
said that.
Christmas Eve Day. I think that's what people say. It's not Christmas Eve. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we're going to miss tomorrow, but I'll see you at 6 a.m. the next day. I'll be live in New York with my
Raghunath,
brothers and sisters.
Eve means the day or period of time immediately before an event or occasion.
No, it means evening.
I just read it from the dictionary.
Okay, well, why do you think that? What does a dictionary know? You believe everything you read? I'll write my own dictionary. Oh, joyeux Noël!
Hey, a
says
lot
Isabel
of Christmas
Villadelle.
gifts under the tree. You're looking very festive over there.
Oh, it's getting big. The Christmas gifts.
What
are-
about Gus? He's a good Christmas dog. He's all white. Maybe like put a bow on him or something. You doing any Christmasing him up at all?
Now you reminded me of the Saturday Night Live.
Oh, or no, or put a little antlers on him or something like that, like the Grinch.
Oh, Gus.